Today we're talking about using your eyes like a top sim racer. Most sim racers don't realize it, but your eyes control everything about how fast and consistent you can be. You might think it's your braking, your line, your setup, but if you're not using your eyes correctly, none of that will matter. And here's the thing, most drivers believe that lap time only comes from better inputs. Brake later, turn tighter, accelerate earlier, and if they're still slow, they just assume that they need more seat time to figure it out. But the truth is, there's a deeper problem. I've coached hundreds of sim racers from beginners to aliens, and over 70% of them had the exact same issue, and once they fixed it, they got faster without changing a single line or setup. There's a method to train your vision, just like you train your braking, and that's what I'm going to show you. So in this video, I'm going to break it all down. You'll learn how to diagnose if your vision is holding you back, the 5 phases of a corner that relate to eye movement, my step-by-step anchor method to fix it, and the one mistake that ruins your ability to use your eyes correctly. So let's dive in. First, let's figure out if these issues even apply to you. This is the legendary Dr. Grill's diagnostic chart, designed to reveal whether you're actually using your eyes correctly on track, and what you can see are 4 different symptoms. So if you're experiencing any one of these symptoms, then it's likely you aren't using your eyes properly, so you should probably stick around so I can give you the quick fix. Symptom 1 is you never know when to start accelerating when you exit a corner. This might look like running wide off track or needing to release the gas pedal to stay on the track. Symptom 2 is your corners are rushed and chaotic. It feels like you have no time to properly apply your driving inputs, and before you know it, the entire corner is over and you've missed the apex. Symptom 3 is you're not consistent from lap to lap. And finally, symptom 4 is you have no time to react to crashes or changes that happen in front of you. So if any of these 4 sound like you, then stick around so we can fix your vision. Alright, let's move on to step 2, which are the 5 phases of a corner that relate to eye movement. I actually cover this on page 33 of my book, and it's important we know what each corner phase is, because without this base understanding, you'll never be able to implement the technique needed to fix your vision. First, we have stage 1, which is all about slowing down the car as much as possible so it's ready to actually turn into the corner. We do this in a straight line because our car is able to decelerate most effectively when no other weight transfer is happening, which is just a fancy way of saying make sure you're not turning or accelerating during this phase, otherwise you won't slow down as fast as your car is capable of. This stage accounts for around 80% of your braking and sets up the rest of the corner, so you'll want to nail it. But if you don't also perform the second stage correctly, then all the magic is lost. And that takes us into stage 2, which is about trading our brake pressure for our steering angle. Most rookie racers treat the brake like an on-off switch, but this is precisely what's keeping them slow. During the corner entry phase, we need to lift off the brake pedal while proportionally adding steering angle, and a good way to visualize this is to imagine a string is attached to the top of your foot and the bottom of the steering wheel. As you turn the wheel, you must lift your foot off the brake to avoid the string from snapping. This is also known as trail braking, and this leads into arguably one of the hardest stages to master, the mid-corner. This is when you reach the slowest point in the corner and transition from the brake to the gas pedal, and the key to nailing this stage lies in these pedal traces. Can you figure out which one will give you a faster corner? I like to define coasting as when you aren't accelerating or braking, and as a general rule of thumb, we want to reduce the amount of time we spend coasting to get the fastest lap time. So we typically want to aim to reduce the gap between braking and accelerating as much as possible, which then reveals this as the fastest pedal trace because our driver presses the gas sooner, which lets them accelerate out of the bend first. But this now leads into the most overlooked aspect of a corner, where a lot of drivers throw away all their lap time without even realizing it. Stage 4 is the early corner exit. Now, remember back to the visualization with the string for corner entry. We now want to do the inverse, so we're gradually applying our gas pedal as we decrease steering angle to keep the string taut, which leads into the final stage, which is the corner exit, where we're just flat out on the gas. If you want 360 pages worth of more detail, then you can check out the PDF version of my book. Link is in the description. But How do these different stages of a corner relate to how we use our eyes while driving? A couple years ago, before I became a top 2% iRacer, I knew no theory about racing. I didn't even know what the racing line was, and unsurprisingly, whenever I drove, I'd experience all four of these symptoms, and it wasn't until my friend watched me drive and told me that I realized I wasn't using my eyes properly. What you're seeing on screen now is a pretty accurate representation of where my eyes were focused while I was driving, and I'm sure a couple of you will probably be able to relate. I was staring at the front of the car because that's what feels natural, but this is the exact opposite of where you should be looking. So let's break down stage 3, the step-by-step anchor fix, and I'll explain why I call it the anchor method at the end. So when we're in the braking stage, as you approach the corner, your eyes need to be scanning ahead, straight to the apex while keeping the exit in mind. This prepares you to adjust your speed and position the car for a clean, smooth entry. When you're at corner entry, shift your focus even further ahead. The idea here is to look as far as possible. This helps your brain process the track's flow. Once you get to the mid corner, resist the urge to focus on the car's nose. You can briefly glance down to check if you've hit the apex, but remember, if you're looking at the nose of your car, whatever is happening is too close by to be able to change it. So after glancing down to see if you hit the apex, keep your eyes trained on the exit. And once you're approaching the corner exit phase, you need to keep looking directly at the exit. Because you've spent so long absorbing data throughout the corner while looking at the exit, your body will naturally be able to determine when to press the gas pedal so you get an optimal run out of the corner without going wide. And you're probably thinking, this sounds like a lot to remember, but this is where the beauty of my anchor method comes in. Just remember this. Your eyes should live in the future. Keep your eyes anchored on the furthest point you can see. By anchoring your eyes on the track ahead, your brain can anticipate your next move. Suddenly, you'll know exactly when to brake, how much speed to carry into the corner, and when to get back on the throttle. But you need to make sure you aren't making this one crucial mistake because it'll stop this entire technique from working. I like to call this mistake the late anchor, and it catches out a lot of my students who try to apply my anchoring technique. This is when you focus on the apex only after you've already begun to steer into the corner. Instead, pretty much as early as possible, ideally before you even start braking, you should lock your eyes onto the apex. And trust me, it'll feel so unnatural at first, and without even realizing it, you'll fall back into old habits of looking back at the front of the car. But all you have to do is remember you should always be trying to look as far into the distance as possible, even while cornering. And here's a bonus tip about having correct track vision. It isn't just for precision, it's about processing more information faster. For example, if you're entering a corner too fast, but you're using your eyes correctly, you'll spot the mistake early. You can then correct it before it costs you time, or worse, wrecks your race entirely. Compare that to a driver who's looking at the front of their car. They're too late to correct, and by the time they realize it, they're already in trouble. When you expand your vision to take in everything around you, buildings, guardrails, the terrain, you'll notice how much slower everything feels while driving, and that's when you're really able to get into that flow state where everything melts away, the car feels like it's on rails, and you become unstoppable. But now that you know how to use your eyes properly, watch this video if you want to find out my secret technique to master car control. It's probably one of the quickest fixes you can make, so don't miss it.